Also on the line is John Caudwell, who is a businessman, philanthropist and founder of Phones for You. He has been campaigning for these 3 million excluded people. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning.
So what made you want to get on board and campaign?
Well, I've been campaigning from the beginning for anybody that's unfairly treated, but also for the wider issue of regenerating the UK economy. It was clear to me from when the pandemic hit in March that the UK economy was going to be decimated. I wanted the government to support every faction of society, every area of society, to keep people reasonably survivable through this period so that they can go back to work when the recovery comes, but also the much wider issue of trying to repair the damage done by pandemic by investing a huge amount of money in CPR, which is Caudwell Pandemic Recovery, which is all to do with renewable energy city, apprenticeship schemes, inward investment and infrastructure. But in the later months, I've become very well aware of this group of people that have fallen between the cracks, have been unfairly treated, and really must be addressed because, the government is spending taxpayers' money, and I'm one of the biggest taxpayers ever. They're spending my money, and I really object to them not spending it fairly across all of society.
Yes.
So to see people that are left devastated is really cruel. And I do understand the government's dilemma because there is a group of people here that are very complex. There's so many different categories, but I don't think complexity can ever stand in the way of the government doing the duty and trying to create a fair society.
I mean, that's the point, though, isn't it? In one respect, you say it's very complex, but then you also say you want every facet of society to be adequately supported by the government. The Chancellor said from the outset that some people would fall through the cracks. Isn't it a kind of impossible demand to make sure that everybody is adequately supported?
Look, I don't think any government could ever make certain that everybody's properly supported because there's always going to be people that do fall between the cracks in life in general. But there's too many of these people, and the categories are quite simple. Let me just give you an example of where it's not that complicated. If you're earning £200,000 as an employee a year, which is a big salary, and you put on furlough, you get £2,500 a month. It's arguably not enough, but people could say, well, they're wealthy enough. Okay, they're covered. If you're a self-employed person that earns over £50,000 a year, you're not covered, you get nothing. You're deemed to not need it. Now, it's very, very likely that the person that earns over £50,000 a year as a self-employed person has got overheads, vans, equipment, tools, maybe one or two employees. And yet their overheads are still costing them money and they're given nothing. Why are they given nothing when an employee on £200,000 a year would get £2,500 a month? It's blatantly and ridiculously unfair, and the rules need addressing. And yes, if they address the rules and they put massive effort into it, there'll still be some people that fall between the cracks, but there is no doubt whatsoever that more can be done.
John, there's clearly a very large community of people who fall into this excluded category, and we're seeing the chatter online. They're definitely talking to each other very effectively. But do you think there is a wider issue here for taxpayers in general? I mean, you're talking as a taxpayer, as somebody who pays a lot of tax. Do you think we should all be engaged in this issue because it's our money that's not necessarily going to those who need it the most?
No, because we elect a government to do our bidding, and hopefully they do our bidding in the right way and the fair way. And the government have got huge challenges with this. So, I do moderate my criticisms of the government because they've had so many battles to fight. But the government have been made well aware of these people that are falling between the cracks. I just give you an example of something the other day that that was reported back to me, that one woman was so desperate. And this is a repeated story, but this one particularly poignant to me because this woman was so desperate with her loss of livelihood and the state of her financial affairs through not receiving any support that she was actually planning to take her own life. And this is the story that was relayed to me, that because she heard that I was involved in campaigning, it actually caused her to delay on this suicide decision. Now, when you hear things like that, it rips at your heart. I mean, I'm so pleased that I'm able to make a positive difference to society in these various ways.
Absolutely.